Hi everyone. I know I've done these commentated runs out of London before, but as always I'm picking up new subscribers all the time, and so maybe some of my newer followers won't have seen something like this, so let's do another one, and maybe different stuff will happen as to happen before. So we're on a 450 dupe, which means that the vehicle that was in front of us is the main service, and they've got too many passengers for the one vehicle, so they put on a second vehicle. So what will happen is me as the dupe vehicle, I will just go end to end, so I will go straight from here to Nottingham Broadmarsh without stopping at any of the other places on the way. So if anyone is wanting to either get off, say, a light or board at any of the intermediary stops on the service, then they will need to go on the main service vehicle, the white one that was in front of us, and I'll just go straight up to Nottingham. And I've done the same on the way down. I've come straight down from Nottingham all the way down to Victoria with just these passengers. So here we are leaving Victoria, what I call the back entrance, going around the side, and the only thing I've done here on this video is to cut out any kind of waiting in queues and traffic lights, but other than that it's effectively real time. So we come around the corner here, out the back, down to the lights at the bottom, and the only thing I kind of really want to say about that, I've cut the sound down here because I'm doing the announcements, but just cut here. The reason I want to show this is this point here. Now this hash, little yellow hash in front of us, is actually an entrance exit for the underground car park of the police station that's on the right hand side here. It looks unused, but it's not. It is actually used, and they must have some variety of underground car park. And I know that because I actually blocked that once without thinking about it a few years ago, and the blue light vehicle was wanting to get out. I was in the way. And they obviously nothing we could do about it at that time. The guy actually pulled me over, but didn't do anything other than just give me a bit of a telling off, which was fine and perfectly valid for him to do, but now I have to be careful. So I don't block that yellow hash in front of us because of the vehicles, and if you pull up anymore, you're going to block one of the entrances into Victoria Coach Station itself. So that's why I'm hanging back here waiting for the light to go. But I know that these lights at the end don't stay green for very long. They'll only get him through, so you'll see, probably, hopefully, or I'm making it all up. Normally they don't stay long enough. Are they? Okay, I told you a lie, they did. This left turn can be interesting sometimes when vehicles are in that far right hand lane wanting to turn right, but fortunately not in this situation. Keep an eye on the fence on the inside corner, and then it's hit the bus lane hut. We're now Buckingham Palace Road, BPR. This was a Sunday evening. As you can see from the decks in the coach, it was just before Christmas, and it was actually surprisingly busy for a Sunday evening. I can't remember exactly what time it was we left. 7:30 maybe? Something like that. So you're past the bulk of the shopping time even on a Sunday, but there was still quite a lot of people around. I mean, obviously London's busy a lot of the time, but it was just surprisingly busy. No different to coming out of London on the weekday in the rush hour, of course. So it's the same kind of stuff. But anyway, let's go for a run out of London, shall we? This bit of BPR here is not wide enough to have two large vehicles next to each other, and you can't quite sneak up the outside with another coach here. You can with the cars and stuff, as you can see, but just not another coach, so it's a bit too tight. But do you go bus lane here, do you not? Hard to know, just depends on what's going on. You don't usually gain or lose anything going either way here. But anyway, so we'll get across these lights here up the rest of BPR, and this is all nice and easy at this point. I will absolutely split the lanes here. The turn just coming up where the lights are top there isn't really tight, big enough to get two vehicles round. It's a bit tight because cars will try and go up the inside or around the outside when they shouldn't do really. So it's a bit tight here, so I tend to split the lanes here. I've seen coaches do it, I've seen them not. I mean, you could stick on the outside here in the right hand lane, keep well to the right, and you'd have a space for a car to come up the inside, but to be honest I don't really care. I can split the lanes, take up the space if I want to. from about here on is one of the two places probably on this run out where I find that other coach drivers can be a bit idiotic. This section from here up to actually where you turn off of the Hyde Park Corner junction in a little bit, you'll see, but this whole sort of straight run up here, I've been literally overtaken by coaches on this section, where they were behind me and they've gone on the outside, put the foot down and cut in front, and you just think, what did you gain? You've gained one coach length by doing that, and you've probably swung your passengers around like an idiot. And I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. All right, you can say that I drive like an old granny, possibly. Again, like cleaning the inside of my coach. I don't care what people think about my driving. I just know that the passengers enjoy a smooth ride with me. So I don't get driving like an idiot here. And coaches really do it. There's a couple of companies, I'm not going to name and shame them on here. There's a couple of companies that I've seen who are really quite bad for it here. So if you're a driver out there, maybe you can give me some justification or some reason why you might drive like an idiot here. Otherwise, let me know what you think. But anyway, bus lane here is always hit and miss whether to use this bus lane or not. London buses generally don't stop in bus stops long enough for them to hold you up in that sense. So if there's red buses up here, then it doesn't usually bother me. Sometimes you get this idiot here drifting across into the lane, got a quick flash there, get out of the way. So if it's coaches, sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. You just make a judgment call at the time and decide whether you think it's gonna save you anything or not, or as per my previous conversation, whether it's going to save you anything worthwhile or not. But anyway, and then top here, as we come up to Hyde Park Corner, this is always a bit crazy. The Hyde Park Corner junction is really quite wide road. And there it's got, this section certainly when I come up to, you'll see in a minute, it's got no lane lines in it at all. And you've got, let's think, 3 lanes going around to the right round the Hyde Park Corner roundabout, which is where we're going, and then 1 lane that goes off left, that goes then west out of London. So it's like a bit of Piccadilly Circus. I say Piccadilly Circus advisedly, being as we're in London, but of course it's a bit Piccadilly Circus around here. Lots of cars trying to move over, everyone trying to cut across. It's a bit crazy. You do have to really keep your eye out. Going around this junction, keep your eye, of where people are and what they're doing and that kind of stuff. But anyway, and you'll see in just a minute, I actually think I did it wrong this time. I don't normally do this, but I think I did it wrong this time. Obviously nothing happened, but we'll see. Come back in a minute when we get into the junction and you'll see what I mean. Actually, I'm going to cut a whole load of that, just chucking up and waiting. This is crossing junction stuff. Now, what happened here, of course, this happens a lot where cars coming from the right are trying to move over left to go off on the left turn. It was actually this bus that really stuffed me up, actually, not deliberately. My aim would be normally to head for behind that NatX coach, but the bus had kind of just slightly directed me right, which meant that taxi just on the left had managed to sneak out and block getting in behind the NatX coach. I would normally want to be in that. Actually, it's 4 lanes going right, and spotted that. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'd wanted to be normally behind in the lane that NatX coach is in, because you can then hug the left, and as you come to the bottom of Park Lane, you can then head for the bus lane, which is where you want to be. And I got stuck to the right here, just 1 lane over, and you can. As you come around, you'll see it. You can go round on this 2nd lane and then move over into the bus lane once you get round on the Park Lane. But I find that just a little bit tight. And this NatX coach, he would not. He's forcing me over to the right here a bit because he's not moving left. He was just being a bit of a pain, to be honest. I don't know if he was doing it deliberately. Can't tell. As you can see, that bus in front of me, he's trying to get over to the left as well, because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're heading for the Park Lane bus lane. So I've just, all I can do now is get my left hand indicator on and try and get as best I can into behind this NatX. As you can see, I could go straight up here in this lane and go around to the left, but I'm just like, no, I would prefer to be over to the left here. So we're just going to wait in the traffic. I'm just chugging forward, sticking close, left indicator still on, hoping someone's going to let me over, because there'll be someone there. This is one of those times where you have to kind of just be a bit bolshy. Nope, taxi, that same taxi wouldn't let me in, but I was able to get in behind him, and there we are. So this is now where I want to be, much better. and it's always busy around this you know, High Park Corner, Park Lane. I suspect it's like this even at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just a very busy section, very busy area of London, this, and it's just lots of, as you can imagine, stop-start traffic. I think a lot of people miss how well this actual bit of junction is laid out just here. There's a left turn where this is effectively, once you've come off the roundabout here, a 90-degree left. And there's always barriers on this left-hand inside, probably to stop people pulling up and stopping and parking on the corner there stuff. There's always barriers. But at the same time, they've made that inside lane that we're in actually quite wide. You can, with 2 lanes of traffic outside of you, still swing the coach around that corner, which I think is a very, you know, neat little sensible bit of you know, lane marking there, so that you can actually swing around and you don't block up that inside lane when the other 2 lanes are busy, because you can't swing your nose around. So I think people miss that one a lot. But anyway, so we're coming up Park Lane now at the very bottom end, and we've hit the bottom section of the Park Lane bus lane. Now it's always busy. Even the bus lane is busy because of course it's buses, taxis, police vehicles, you know, all the time, cycles, that kind of stuff. Actually, cycles, yes and no. There's a dedicated cycle lane on Park Lane on the left hand side, you might see in a minute, so cycles don't tend to be in it. The little buzzer bikes, of course, because they're everywhere even if they're not supposed to be. But the bus lane can be a bit busy itself, but still it's always better to be in here than out in the traffic flow. You may hear coach drivers talking about parking on, ironically, Park Lane, but this is one of the best places for coach drivers to park. There's dedicated 2 bays there at the bottom end. They're technically only meant to be an hour, but you can usually get away with staying in there a bit longer if you need to. These guys on the left, these guys, these hire cycle, whatever you call them, dudes, they're a flipping nightmare. They're complete nut jobs, they are. They just ride everywhere, park anywhere they like. The bike coming past there, you can see the bike lane there on the left, which is 2 lane, but actually quite a nice little bike lane there. But anyway, as I was saying, parking on Park Lane, we're going to go past the spaces in a second. There's quite a lot of parking here, and depending exactly on where and how you park, it costs different amounts. Don't ask, long story. But anyway, so this is quite a common place to park, and obviously it's good if you're dropping people off for shopping and stuff, parking on Park Lane. There is 2 spaces, three spaces I think, actually, not sure, on the other side of Park Lane on the southbound side, but chance of getting a space in those where you need to park is very slim. Anyway, so the first of the parking bay sections is here on the left. Always coaches parked in it, you know, at any time of day or night. Yeah, so as I say, so we're going up the Park Lane bus lane here now. And we'll make it finally to the top to Marble Arch Junction, and then there's a bit of a split and a choice of which way to go at that point. Those of you who are newer subscribers to the channel, firstly welcome, but also you may or may not know that I have in the past done both Flixbus and Megabus service runs on a pretty much full-time basis. So I have done this run in and out of London literally hundreds of times. I don't claim that's anything great. I suspect there are coach drivers who've done it thousands, but I've done it enough times to know pretty much everything about the run, so I certainly haven't got to concentrate on where I'm going. But yeah, I know pretty much what's going on. That makes a big difference driving around somewhere, especially like London, when you know where you're going confidently. You're not having to check a sat nav or a map. You can keep an eye on what's going on around you. Right, I'm going to pause the video right here. Just want to give a shout out to this guy who's waving. I didn't see you before because obviously you were right in front of the coach, but this is Luke. He is at Luke the Coach Driver on Instagram if you want to go look him up. He saw me, waved obviously, he then hit me up on Insta and we had a bit of a chat. So yeah, just wanted to say hi and thanks for waving, dude. And that somewhat belated pip was for him. Right, I think I'm going to cut out some rather uneventful chugging up Park Lane in the bit of traffic, and we'll pick it up in a minute when we get to the Marble Arch Junction at the top. So we're past the last right hand turning off of Park Lane here, and at this point it's get ourselves over all the way to the right hand side because we're after the that clonk there was just my phone holder falling off the windscreen. But anyway, because we want the little right hand bus lane cut through on Marble Arch. Now someone told me previously what this road is actually called. It's got a name, this little bit of road. Can't remember. What did he say it was called? Something. Anyway, I can't remember. Someone will tell me what it is anyway. So we're going to swing around here and we cut off to the right through the little bus gate. Now, you know, it's not always worth cutting through this bus gate because you're pulling out, there's no lights at the other end, you're pulling out into traffic, which is both good and bad depending on how busy it is. So it's not always worth going through here. You can sometimes go around the full width of the roundabout and actually it's no slower to do that. And obviously, of course, depends how many vehicles are in this particular thing. You know, so much of driving in London is just about assessing the traffic at the time, you know, what's going on. You see these two dudes here deliberately walking slow. Oh, yeah, we're so cool, we can hold the bus up. Anyway, yeah, so much of London is just to see what's going on at the time. As it goes, I remember now, I've just seen it, there was a police car blocking the bottom of the Edgware Road, the A5. Just there, which maybe we could sneak straight out, so that was good. That is the other route out, or another route out of London, is to take that previous left up the A5, the Edgware Road, and just follow it straight all the way up to the North Circular at the top. I don't like going that way, and the only reason I don't like going that way, it's dead straight, it's easy, you know, you couldn't go wrong, but it's just, it's interminable stop, start, stop, start. There is traffic lights every 10 feet up that road. It's just so soul-destroyingly boring. You just chug the entire way up, and I can't. It just annoys me. Anyway, I much prefer to go this way. So we've turned off Marble Arch onto Oxford Street. You can see the pretty Christmas lights above us here. I'm just trying to remember. This was a few weeks back now. Did I go Portman or did I go along to Baker Street? We'll see in a minute. I said I cut out a lot of the stop-start traffic because obviously it doesn't make for a very interesting video. Because the more I cut out, the less of impression it really gives you guys as you watch it back, what it's really like. But of course I'm interested in keeping you for more than a minute or so on the video, so I have going to cut out some of the waiting and stuff just to make it a bit more interesting. This is an interesting junction. Obviously being Oxford Street, pedestrians just tend to do a lot of walking. They'd have a quick look at the traffic and walk. But as we go around to the left here, it's a common place where people just, because our light is green, their pedestrian light is red, but they can't immediately see traffic coming because it's coming from round behind them. So as we go around to the left here, you almost always have to be very careful. I tend to hover my hand over the horn at this point because I'm fairly sure I'm going to have to beep it. There we go. Can you it? Because someone's about to step out into the road. It's quite a tight turn here, you've got traffic coming the other way, so you do cut quite close to the corner with your rear axle here on that left hand side. Anyway, so turn off here up onto Portman Street, and then we are rolling up here, straight all the way up, cross the Marylebone Road, which is the A40 I think, and then we're heading up towards the side of Regent's Park on our way out of London. So Portman Street becomes Portman Square, and it's Portman Square Garden that is on the right here, just one of the classic little London square gardens. On the left here is the Hyatt Regency in London. Always lots of taxis out here, quite often nice cars dropping people off here in the little drop off, but nice hotel there. And we carry on straight up and it becomes a road called Gloucester Place. Now I'm told some while ago, this was before I started coach driving in London decently, both this road and Baker Street, which is one block further to our right here, running exactly parallel, used to both be a two-way road. No, sorry, used to be a one-way, and I think it was down Baker Street and up Gloucester Place. Someone will be able to tell me, who's been driving in London a lot more than me. I think it used to be a one-way, but they were both made two-way, which is why you can go either way, either Gloucester Place or Baker Street, because they pretty much run parallel and come out near enough in the same place at the top. Anyway, I wanted to say about this road here is that this is another place where people drive like idiots. There's lots of roads that cross between the two, you know, these sets of lights, and with the exception of one, those a perfect example here, that right-hand lane is a right turn lane. With the exception of one junction in the entire length of this road, they are all right turn lanes. but you would obviously believe the number of particularly taxis who go up that right hand lane and go straight across. Happens all the time. I've seen, so taxis do it all the time. I've seen cheeky cars do it. I've seen London buses do it, and I've seen other coaches do it. Now, I won't do it. Am I a perfect driver? No. Am I trying to say I'm better than everyone else? No, absolutely not. They just make their own decisions, but I refuse to do it. But it does annoy me that people do it, and when people do it at the Marylebone Road junction about 3 or 4 up, and then they want to cut in at the last minute to go straight across, as opposed to being forced to turn right, I will be a bit naughty and do my best to block people off, because it just annoys me that people do it and they think they can cut at the last minute, especially when they do it, oh, it's a coach, he's going to let me in, all that kind of jazz. So I don't. But anyway, so this is Gloucester Place, and I'm sure we'll... Oh, hang on. Oh, look, there we go. Mr. Hearns on the flicks. You can see it there, just gone straight across the right turn lane. So, Hearns drivers, or Hearns company, have a word with your drivers, guys. Anyway. Okay, so I've cut out all the stuff to get us up to the top of Gloucester Place. This junction here, coming in on the right, is Park Road. That's what Baker Street has become. And we are now just joining into that Park Road and going north, basically now directly north, up towards, actually on the right hand side here behind these big buildings, what you can't see is Regent's Park, though we are about to go past an entrance to it, and also past London Central Mosque as we head on our way out of London. We're now heading into the St John's Wood area of North London. As we come off this junction, on the left hand side here is Lord's Cricket Ground. The road here on the left is, you see the Nattagers coach coming out there. If we'd have gone up the Edgware Road from Marble Arch, there's a couple of places you can cut back across to this route, which I call the Finchley route. Probably most people call the Finchley route. There's a couple of places you can cut back across the Finchley route as opposed to going all the way up the Edgware Road, and that's one of the key places. Anyway, so we go up here. This is road called Wellington Road. It just goes up towards St John's Wood Station. You've got the Wellington Hospital on the left hand side. It's got 2 kind of separate buildings, the north and south building, yeah, just nothing exciting there really. As we come up and then past St John's Wood Underground Station, which will be on the right hand side in a minute, and then we head really up towards Swiss Cottage and Finchley Road after that. Wellington Road becomes Finchley Road on this corner, and this is a long straight wide section. You can see on the road it's still 20 miles an hour, so this is one place where I absolutely bung the cruise control on 20 miles an hour and sit in that bus lane, because there's actually a speed camera just coming up right, you can see it in the middle, just here. Speed camera both ways at 20 miles an hour, so just sit at 20 all the way up to the lights, and the lights at the end is Swiss Cottage. I've talked about Swiss Cottage Junction before, but it's just sort of a triangular about, I suppose, really, one-way system, and it's named after the pub called the Swiss Cottage, which is built in the Swiss chalet style, and it's just coming up here on the right hand side just after cinema. It's too dark to see it probably, you can just about see it there on the right, that's why it's called Swiss Cottage. But anyway, we're just going to swing off left here up Finchley Road. This is a busy high street, you know, lots of stuff going on up here. A place to very much keep an eye out on vehicles moving around and buzzers going in and out and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so up to Finchley Road, and we'll go past the Finchley Road tube station, which is a stop on both Flix and Nat X. Though I've stopped Finchley Road on the way in on Nat X, I've not stopped Finchley Road on the way out on Nat X. I don't know if they just don't serve it or not. Obviously the main service, if it's going to Golders Green, we'll go straight on up to Golders Green after Finchley once we get to the end, but we're going to carry on up for now up Finchley Road. I've sped up this whole section because there's really not much going on sitting in traffic even on a Sunday evening. Up Finchley Road, it's another place where people can drive a bit crazy up the bus lane on the inside. You have to be careful as always, just keep an eye on what's going on. But anyway, you eventually make it up to the top at the end, and we come up to a junction where, as I said before, the any Nat X going to Golders Green will go straight on towards Golders Green, and we're at this junction here going to turn left, and we're going to go head down towards the I-406 North Circular down Hendon Way. Unfortunately, just after you turn around this corner, it goes back to from 20 miles an hour standard London speed back up to 40 again, so you can kind of get cracking, and you just chuck along Hendon Way, just being careful of the bus stops on the inside. I can't remember if there's a bus in front of us here, probably not, but anyway, we'll see, as the buses don't quite pull quite off the road. So as always, keep an eye on what's going on with bus stops and buses stopping. But Hendon Way now here, all the way down to oh gosh, I've forgotten what it's called. Brent Cross, that's it, I remember now. At the bottom end, which is where we join the North Circular. Inside lane here becomes the slip off down onto Brent Cross Junction, as opposed to going over the flyover. 7.5 tonne weight limit, static weight limit on the flyover there, but I've seen plenty of big vehicles go over it because they ignore it. But anyway, so slip down off of here, we're going to turn left at this junction here, down, slip down onto the A406 North Circular. This is another place where people do stupid things. Lots of people, they see the traffic on the left here and they go up the outside. It's effectively 2 lanes here, up the outside, and then want to cut round left, and because it's 2 lanes on the slip off of this roundabout, but it's not actually a left turn. So it's another place where left is left-hand lane is left turn, straight on the right-hand lane. As you can see, people come up the outside and want to swing round to the left. And this is another place where I'm a bit naughty and I cut people off because I've sat in the queue. If there is one to get to slip round to the left, I'm not having people going up the outside and cutting round to the left. And of course, being a fairly big vehicle, despite it being 2 lanes, you do actually need both lanes here, so it's perfectly valid to cut over both lanes as you go around to the left here. So you just end up cutting people off and make them go around the roundabout once, but that's fine, I'm not bothered, people can do that. We'll see. Anyway, so we slip down here. I don't know if it's going to happen this time, can't remember. Let's have a look. Is it going to happen? Can't remember. There is a car on the outside, you can see him in the mirror there. What's going to happen? Nope, he went straight across. Not everyone does it, of course, all the time, but no, not this time, but that's fine. Anyway, slip down here, and we're going to slip down and then literally straight back off again as we head up towards the M1 that starts here at, well, it's not Brent Cross, and the next junction down is called Staples Corner, yeah, and then we're going to slip up onto the M1, and that's us then M1ing for a number of hours. So across the last set of lights here, and then it's just a sweeping right hand bend, and this is actually where the M1 starts officially here at Staples Corner. Anyway, so yeah, swing around here up onto the motorway, and then we're cracking up to speed and off we go after that. Okay, I think we'll leave that there for now. Tune in to the next video for some interesting stuff, but as always guys, please like, subscribe, come and find me on Instagram at RyanBillRobinVideos, and as always, take care and drive safe.